Okay, we got to talk about this. It's Marvel Comics, but it's also Marvel in general, man. I got a bad feeling about this. I got some bad vibes on this. And I want to be clear, I don't know exactly what is happening. I'm not as plugged in on the comic side as I am plugged in on the movie side. However, you know, ever since Kevin Feige became like CCO of all of Marvel Entertainment, which kind of quietly happened about 3-4 years ago, you know, he had the ability to kind of change everything. And there was this MCU-ification that started to happen at Marvel Comics. Dan Buckley, who's the publisher at Marvel, not the editor-in-chief, but the publisher, and has an office right next to Kevin Feige in Hollywood. Dan Buckley, from what we understand, has been somewhat instrumental in making some of the changes to Marvel Comics that fans have taken objection to that seem to be pushed by an MCU-centric vision for the future of Marvel. We talked about this in the past, but apparently the Krakoa era was quietly killed, not because of editorial, but because of publishing. Dan Buckley made that call. Apparently Dan Buckley was also the guy that made the call for Ms. Marvel being killed in a Spider-Man book, only to be re-brought back into the X-Men line because of MCU synergy. We have discussed this a couple of times in the past. Okay? So, Ultimates Universe. You guys know about the Ultimates Universe? Chat. Hey, chat. Do you know about the Ultimates Universe? Chat, y'all know about the Ultimates Universe? And I see that 10, man. I'll get to that 10 later. Appreciate you, Shalami. Guys, Ultimates Universe, big new reboot, soft reboot, alternate dimension, Elseworld thing that Marvel has been doing. It's been a big hit. You know? I'm way behind on these books. I literally have a stack, and I'm actually going to do a whole video where I'm going to pile up all the books because I actually bought them all physically, and I have all of them. So I'm going to like pile them up and read all of them and do a whole thing where I go over my thoughts on it all. But these have been popular books, and a lot of people are very excited about them, particularly the Spider-Man and the Ultimates book. Denise Camp is I think one of the best up-and-coming writers in the comic book scene. Big heavy hitter, doing great things, and his Ultimates run is absolutely incredible. And Jonathan Hickman obviously is who he is, and his Spider-Man run has been incredible. The other books have been good, but it's really been kind of driven by those two books. So, the Ultimates Universe architect Jonathan Hickman didn't expect Marvel Comics to close the line down. This has been making the rounds. Now, this is a guy, Comics Jeff, professional comic book clapper. He's just like a comic book account on social media. This is a pretty popular post, though. 2 million views on this post, guys. 2 million views. 6K likes, almost 1,000 bookmarks. This thing did some numbers. And what he is bringing up here is a line in the story. I'll read it to you guys right here. Marvel announced the shuttering of the Ultimates line initially at New York Comic Con 2025's Retailer Day, and then confirmed it 3 days later during its fan-facing Marvel Comics Next Big Thing panel, where Marvel Comics publisher Dan Buckley shared Hickman's initial reaction to finding out that the line would end with the final issue of Ultimate Endgame in April of 2026. We were at one of those creative retreats, and I was sitting next to him. We're just talking, and he's like, well, we're finishing our stories. Then you could do that. I said, no, you're done. Buckley remembered. I was by myself with John. Jonathan's looking at me. He goes, what do you mean we're done? I said, we're shutting it down. He goes, why are we shutting it down? I said, it's the end, right? Okay, now, somewhat innocuous, not necessarily a smoking gun. Now, a lot of people are bringing up in response to this thread here. Now, this thread is from Denise Camp. I think Denise is awesome, dude. And a lot of people are saying that this thread is a somewhat of a rebuttal to this story about Hickman and everything there, okay? And what Denise says here is thread. Okay, the end of the Ultimates universe, from my perspective, it's true that the original plan was not to end the universe. A lot of my run is setting up characters I hoped would go on past me. I think I've made that clear and obvious, but John was ending his run at 24. That was always the case. He was done. Preach and Brian were both ending their stories when the maker got out as well. That was their decision, according to what I've been told my interactions with them. And it makes sense. Think about it. Peach is writing and drawing every issue for 24 issues. That's insane. Yeah, that is insane. She works like 20 hours a day on that book. No joke. She's the hero of the line. She deserves a break if she wants one. Totally fair. Wolverine was only meant to be 12, and then it got extended to 16. The other creators were offered more issues to run alongside Endgame, but they were declined. I saw that. The only person who planned on continuing was me. Yeah, okay, all right. Initially, still very early, those books were going to end as those creators left, and Ultimates would have continued on the new books I launched. I was prior, blah, 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 blah. But then Will Moss came to me and said, hey, I think we're going to end it. End it. This was a long time ago, at least a year before now, I think, but I'd have to check. Not because the books are too woke. If it were that, they'd interfere with the writing of it, which they haven't, or because the main line is jealous. This is silly. Money is money to them, but because everything seemed to be coming to a natural conclusion. Now, I actually will take some objection to this point that he made here, but this is his perspective. They felt that had something special with the universe as it was, consistent creative vision that told their stories and had a clear beginning, middle, and end. An accessible creator forward reimagined of the Marvel Universe, a version of the never-ending story that ended. And that the purity of that vision, they thought could pay dividends for a long time after if it didn't overstay the welcome, dilute it, or fumble the ending. Yes, I had plans for stuff after continuing this world. Part of me was bummed about that, but in my heart, I think I knew it'd be lesser. Moreover, for me, the Ultimate Universe has been a place for trying new things in comic, radical things. Fair. Whether it's the real-time pacing or the radical inventions of Marvel characters or the formal place that characterized my run, that's what excited me about the Ultimate Universe. Excites me still. And this really, truly ending universe on a high note, having it be this contained thing, giving it the story an end, that's radical for Big Two Comics. It's something that, to the best of my knowledge, has never been done on the scale by Marvel and DC. This is exciting to me. I hope it's exciting for you, but by all means, anybody feel blah, blah, blah. Okay, so totally fair from his perspective. The thing I take issue with, okay, the thing that I think is just actually not true, and this is only because I have seen firsthand how profitability is not always put as the most important thing, especially when like legacy and other important things to very powerful people are on the line. So Denise says, not because the books are too woke. If it were that, they'd interfere with the writing of it, which they haven't, which is kind of an interesting point, right? Again, I'm actually not reading too much of it. I know Denise himself is a very woke person, very, politically active, et cetera, et cetera. You guys know how I feel about that. Your mileage may vary. I actually don't give a fuck. I think he's an interesting guy. I think he's smart. I think he writes well. Some of you will care one way or the other. You'll be like, oh, that's awesome. I love his stuff. Now I want to read it because he believes this. Or some of you will say, I can't fucking believe it. I don't want to read his shit because he believes this. That's on you guys. But then he says here, the main line is jealous. This is silly. Money is money to them. No, not true. Unfortunately, I've been doing this long enough to know that that's actually not true. Not all money is green to all people in Hollywood. And here is where some of the paranoia that I have for this situation comes in. Okay, we're speculating. This is speculative territory, okay? But Denise himself, I think we might see start to do a lot more DC work than Marvel work just in general. And I think if you watch the behavior of some of the things that he's doing online, you could even sort of get some sense of an undertone of he's a little upset with some of the corporate things that have happened at Marvel, Disney, and it is even possible that that is somewhat connected to what has happened with the end of this universe. I'm going to say it to you like this. There's a couple of different things that pop into my mind, okay? One thing that I can't get out of my head, and I would really love it if somebody at Marvel would be able to reach out to me and dispel me of this belief, because I just can't let it go. And unfortunately, I keep thinking about it when situations like this come up. There were some rumors and reports that came out around 2020 that suggested that Disney was taking a different approach with content, mostly the adapting of comic books, and that they didn't want to strictly directly adapt comic books at all anymore. And part of this gets into some of the situations where, like, if you remember, Bo DeMeo has talked about publicly how there were certain executives that actually thought it was a bad thing if you were too much of a comic book fan. And if you wanted to do too much of a direct adaptation of stuff that had happened in comic books, they didn't want that. I think Bo has even gone so far as to mention who that was. I'm not going to say it, but he has gone that far. And there have been these other reports, and we look at the Dan Buckley thing, we look at this, and we look at that. And then I look at just, frankly, Jonathan Hickman. Okay, as a big fan of Marvel, right? Every single time in the last 10, 15, 20 years that I can fucking remember, Marvel Studios being close to being back on track and actually killing it is all connected to Jonathan Hickman. Walk with me on this point, because this is, I'm actually getting a little fucking pissed about this. The Secret Wars, Avengers run into Secret Wars. Krakoa X-Men, and the Ultimates universe. 3 different time periods that I can think of that Marvel Comics itself had incredible success and was the closest that it had been since maybe the 90s to like tapping into that actual zeitgeist, and like the comic book thing itself was blowing up. The thing, not the movies, not the show, not the video game, but the comic, the book itself was blowing the fuck up. The only 3 times that I can think of Marvel doing that are Hickman shit. Secret Wars, the Krakoa X-Men, and then Ultimates. Now, Ultimates is not like his baby. Obviously, he's a part of it. And I know they cooked it up for a while, and they were cooking it up before he even was on board. A lot of rumors that even other writers were potentially going to be involved and got moved off of it, et cetera, right? But the point I'm making is like this. As a comics fan, and as a big Jonathan Hickman fan, it's really fucking frustrating to sit back and be like, wait a minute, so this dude's killing it. This is now 2 times that it feels like Marvel Comics has rugged him. Meaning, oh, here's this big cool thing. Hickman has this vision. Here's the future of it. We're going to pull the rug out. Krakoa, gone. Ultimates universe, gone. Now, again, it's fair to say, and I know Denise is saying that like Hickman's 24-issue run was always going to be, he had 24 issues on Spider-Man. Totally. But like, Buckley himself at New York Comic Con said that at a creative retreat, not at the coffee shop this morning, but at a creative fucking retreat, Hickman was telling him, the publisher, about all the things they could do with the Ultimates line, which is this big successful thing, which again comes out of the thing that he created and was at least a part of. Holy shit. And I think God's happened the same way. Dude, it's so frustrating. And part of it's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Marvel, are you afraid to just give Hickman the credit? Like, is that what it is? Is it like, we can't just have it be the Hickman show? Because then all the success that happens from that would then have to go directly to the Hickman estate. And we know in 20 years' time, when all of these contracts are being renegotiated, that we don't want it to be the case that a court will see that, oh, very clearly this one individual guy and his creative work was this big influence, and so therefore he needs this huge part of the pie. Like, is that what it is? Because it's starting to feel like that's what it is. And that sucks. Because, like, what if you just flipped that script on its head? What if instead of that you were like, oh, John, you know, you're obviously a creative power force, maybe the GOAT in comics currently. And you've done an incredible job adding to the catalog of Marvel and really bolstering the brand of Marvel Studios. Well, you know what? Here's the thing, John. You do all the best shit. We're using all your shit in the MCU. So let's lean into it. Let's sign a contract, bring you in as an advisor. You're very clearly responsible for a lot of this stuff. So come in officially and work with us. We will renegotiate your royalties. You're going to get paid. You're going to get rich. You're actually going to get rich. Rich. And we're going to lean in, my guy. and you and your family and everything, you're going to be taken care of forever. But like, let's do this. Like, let's just do this. And I'm a fan. I'm just some idiot on the internet whose hair is crazy, doesn't really know what the fuck he's talking about. But also, I've been doing this for a while. I've been following this for a long time. I'm a super fan. And I'm asking these questions. I'm concerned. And I'm like, brother, look, we live in a world where, like, we're talking about Disney, right? We're talking about Disney and their decline. We're talking about Marvel, their decline. Star Wars, their decline. You have maybe the GOAT. You have like the Wayne Gretzky, you have Tiger Woods. You've got Michael Jordan of comic books right now. Kevin, you have Michael Jordan right now? And you want him on a 1099? You're keeping him on arm's length. You're changing his shit up because you don't want to sign the Nike deal? You don't want him to get 50% of each sneaker? Like, this is fucking crazy to me. If this is what it is, then this sucks. And look, last thing I'll say on this. Let's keep an eye on this, huh? Let's keep an eye on this. Let's see what happens. What is Denise? Is he doing more Marvel? What if he doesn't? What if he's just on DC now? Is Marvel getting any talent? It seems like a lot of talent's going to DC these days. Seems like a lot of talent's going to DC these days. Seems like DC's all in is just going to keep going and going and going. And Marvel's like legit like, hey, number one, there's some weird Disney shit going on. Let's just be real. Weird Disney shit. Number two, there could be this contract thing. Number two, it could be an ego thing. Look, Bo DeMayo claims that Kevin is threatened by how successful X-Men 97 season 1 was, because it didn't have anything to do with Kevin. That's Bo's claim. Okay, that's out there. Chat, what do you think about that? Do you believe that? Do you believe that that's actually the case? Because some of this other stuff is kind of starting. I mean, it kind of seems like it could line up with like, well, why are you destroying all of this guy's stuff? Why are you not just like letting the good work, the good creators cook? Yeah, this is a tough one, man, because here's the thing, Marvel, maybe this is all bullshit. Well, guess what? You have the ability to come out and like say stuff. You have the ability to like make moves. You have the ability to do stuff. Take control of the narrative. Make me feel better about this shit. Make the Marvel fans feel better about this shit, because we're about to geek out about Doomsday, and it is very exciting, and we're very, very excited about it. But there's some shit going wrong at Marvel, man. You guys need to get your house in order. And this is just like one more example of like, this doesn't feel good. Like this doesn't feel good. So that's the take, man. I just wanted to bring that up. And now I'm too tired